late. It just can't be helped. There's so much information coming out. We have breaking news, and I haven't even been able to post about it because of, let me see. Okay, it's on. I'm on. Trying to do several things, trying to move quick. Several things at one time, trying to wrap my head around everything that we are being reported on. Finding out because of all the open records and going through it and looking at it very closely, forensically, looking at the evidence forensically. And it's a huge job. And we have to do it because we were asked to do it by the CID. We were asked to do it by Richard's command. They didn't think anything was anything. Remember, they didn't even think Nadal Bayem was anybody. They didn't, even it took like a month before they even interviewed Danae Katzen, and they said, if you want to ask to anything, you have to bring us the leads. You have to investigate your own son's murder. That is what has happened in this case. And our son, 1,000, we are on 1,689 days, around that, 1,689 days since Richard was premeditatedly, treasonously murdered on Fort Bliss. And here we are burning the midnight oil. We're almost, we're 20 minutes away, 23 minutes away from 1 o'clock in the morning. Because this is such a big story, right? This is such a big case. It makes the Iran-Contra scandal look like child's play. Okay. It is so big. And we have been giving everyone hard evidence. And when I mean everyone, I mean law enforcement. I mean the intelligence community. I mean the judicial system in El Paso, the media. We have been giving them everything, and we have stunned them into silence and inaction. I don't think they even know what to do. They just don't even know what to do because it's so big, right? It is so big. So we have absolutely been giving this information out about our son's case, how it is connected, because he was a Fort Bliss soldier that was reporting on the criminal trafficking. The criminal trafficking is a broad term that includes the weapons smuggling, the ammunition smuggling, the equipment smuggling, the human trafficking, the child trafficking, hundreds of thousands, and they put this this nice word on it, unaccompanied children. Now, these are taken children. No one is going to tell me at the levels that these numbers are at, hundreds of thousands, right? We have it over 500,000, right? But, if they tell you that, that's probably the smaller side of the number. Hundreds of thousands of children. They're not unaccompanied. I mean, they're unaccompanied, but they're not unaccompanied. They're taken children, right? These are taken children. This is a real billion-dollar business. And of course, the criminal trafficking includes the substances, right? All the different illegal substances. And there's a lot of them. Belen Rocha she was just so fast. She could just rattle them all off at a very, very young age. What does that tell you? That told us a lot. So this whole criminal enterprise at the border, at our front door. Remember, El Paso is our front door. It's our front door to the United States. And this criminal trafficking, cartel tied, military tied, judicial tied, intelligence tied, law enforcement tied, criminal enterprise is and media tied. Don't let's not forget the media. Media tied criminal enterprise is so big. It has gotten so out of hand, y'all. So out of hand. And that it's so out of hand that they tamper with government documents regularly. Okay? They tamper with government records regularly. And I wish I could put it up. I have to redact just a couple things before I put it up. But we received open records about James Montoya's failed installation. And what it is showing us is that what they sent us was tampered with. That it seems that they created these documents to send to us. Can they create, like, they can get original things and, I don't know, create a PDF file, a government document that looks like it would be real, but it's not, because the mistakes are so egregious in it that you can say, are these really stupid people? Are these really stupid people that are incompetent? Stupid is not a good word. Stupid. I love the word stupid. I've always loved the word stupid. And people were like, you can't say that word. But, stupid means that they don't look to the future, right? They're stooped. They act like there's no consequences, that there's no future, right? That's what stupid means. And I thought, I like that word. I think that's a good word, better than other words, but that people use regularly, right? That have a much worse meaning. But are these people incompetent? Are they so incompetent that they can't get dates right? That they can't even get the year right? And so in this email, that's November 13th, they have November 2025 documents attached. I mean, there's no other explanation except for two: that these are totally incompetent people, or that this is a doctored email that they sent us to appease our open records, to cover up for what James Montoya has done that could land him in prison, right? That can land him. The motive is huge because it can land him in prison. And, it's. But our son's life was taken. This is what happens when the oversight, like Veronica Escobar, doesn't do her job. When Veronica Escobar doesn't do her job, this is what happens. Total corruption that leads to the murder of a whistleblower soldier on Fort Bliss. And then the cover up that ensues, that includes, we're at like 30 agencies right now. including the U.S. Army. What that does to the trust, and see, people are starting to speak out, aren't they? They're starting to speak out, and they're starting to say, no, we cannot let this happen. We need to address this case. The corruption is so bad that we need to address this case, because otherwise we have no trust, because there's been so much tampering. Of course, Tavita Nusa and Leilani Hart tampered. Of course, Marlon Soto tampered. Of course, these judges tampered, right? And they're, look, Penny Hamilton, she was illegal. She wasn't even elected. She had no authority. So, and of course, they tampered in the whole Walmart case. From the beginning to the end. From the beginning to the end. There is so much tampering and obstruction of justice and manipulation and crisis actors. Yes, I've said it, crisis actors, because we've got the evidence. And it's all connected. Look, Danae Katzen is family with Alexander Gerhard Hoffmann Roth, who was there right at the front entrance. Well, as you walked into the Walmart at the front entrance, and lost his life in a very brutal way. And she is a fugitive. She is targeting us. She's targeting Richard. And the CID is like, oh, nothing to see here. Oh no, she's nobody. No, she's nobody. We don't even have to talk to her. I don't even have to call her up. We don't have to talk to her. I'm like, what do you mean? She's what is Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia's family, which is Alexander Gerhard Hoffmann Roth's family, doing with our son's credit cards after he was killed? And then targeting us and other things, other financial information. And of course, there's all this financial fraud, right? Danae Katzen is totally proven to be, involved in financial fraud and all kinds of. She's a fugitive. She's been on the 10 most wanted list in El Paso 4 times, maybe more now, but 4 times for sure. How many people do you know that's been on the list, the most wanted list, and is a fugitive 4 times? 4 times. What about 3 times? What about even 2 times? Very few even make it 2 times. She's been on it 4 times. Why? And don't forget, she's married to Jonathan Caleb Ambrose, connected to Jonathan Campos Slavitt. And that connects all of it to Richard's unit. And then you have Nadal Baim connecting it to the G3 32nd ADCOM, Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado, Richard's command. And with the FBI. Their connection with the intelligence community, with the FBI. And so, and then it all connects to General John Kelly. Wowzer. I'm thinking, and of course, it connects to Michael Garrett, the four-star general. So you got two four-star generals. Then you have that are really connected in this. And then you have General McConville doing the cover up. Then you have the provost marshal, Donna Martin, who's a three-star general, covering this up. And then you have the DA's office going to unbelievable extent. And God is just putting stumbling block. They can't even get a DA installed properly after Yvonne Rosales. I mean, Bill Hicks was a usurper, and now look at what James Montoya is doing. I can't wait to put up these, and I'm going to do it right away after the live stream. I mean, you tell me when you see it, because these are open records, right? These are supposed to be open records to the public. It is like tampering 101. Tampering, obstruction of justice. It's the very people that we've entrusted to secure our nation, to defend our Constitution, to maintain law, to judge that our law is being followed, to determine the cause and manner of death. It's those very people that have been now weaponized and are engaged in the worst type of crime, criminal trafficking, because it involves the worst type of crimes, including videos of the worst type of acts and torture against children. And and of course, endangering us all with this weapons trafficking, and trying to do it because they're in that law enforcement, in that judicial situation, in that protection, DHS or DEA or the U.S. Army or whatever, and they're in these powerful positions because they have clearances, right? They have secret clearances, and they can get visas, and they get special treatment. And for them to be trafficking, like we have now, and not me, but like what has been exposed, that over 50% of the weapons that were being sent to Ukraine were then sold back to the Mexican cartel. And Veronica Escobar doesn't say anything. I mean, this is endangering her constituents. This is a real threat to Fort Bliss, which she is the representative of. She has oversight of that. And then to connect all this with Bliss Avenue, to connect Richard's case with the Walmart case, to see that the same people, Leilani Hart, Tavita Nusa, Dallas Hart, like I said, this group with Danae Katzen, with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, that connects it over to Juarez, makes this an international case, connects it to Germany, right? Because there's financial fraud. And then two, and I was saying Casita Hoffmann, but it's Casitas Hoffmann business. And its connections with the Hoffmann family, and it seems like, well, we know that Leilani Hart was a dentist. We know that. Um, we know that there's pilots involved and pilots use names and then, you early on for, oh, I'm thinking it's been more than way more than a year, maybe 2 years. We've been doing this for over 4 years. The We got a tip in to look into Falcon, right? To look into Falcon. So that's coming into play with this Casitas Hoffmann. Um, that's connecting um, to bigger. It's connecting everything because don't Casitas Hoffmann. What we have evidence for is that it was um, uh, it takes your breath away. The trafficking takes your breath away because there's no moral compass. And when you think of the children, hundreds of thousands of children, and when you think of this illegal illegal stream and how people were making money off of people, it's kind of like slavery, right? Um, it's just so inhumane, so inhumane. And when you connect um, Michael Garrett and you connect John Kelly, who was working. Look, General John Kelly was working for the Chihuahua government. His business was all about sheltering unaccompanied children in Hempstead, Florida. And maybe that wasn't enough for him. He had to go over to Chihuahua, but he was working. That means I don't know if he had to take an oath to Mexico, but the conflict there is huge, is huge. And he was very angry at President Trump, very angry, very angry. And, because there's a lot of money, billions of dollars. And if somebody is telling you you can't do that, you have to make your money honestly. You can't have this big business. When you, and I know this from Iraq and Afghanistan, you had all these contractors that were making so much money because they were housing our soldiers, right? They were feeding our soldiers, they were housing our soldiers. Um, and it was huge money from the cots to the tents to the blankets to the Gatorade to the uh, turf and surf, the steaks and the lobster and all these stories. Well, they weren't stories. I mean, I lived through it because Rob was deployed many times. So, like so many other military families, so they can absolutely um, be another witness. You don't have to believe me. You can go and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of other witnesses to the level of contracts that were contractors that I think there was even more contractors sometimes than military that were involved in Iraq and Afghanistan making loads of money. Okay. And I'm not saying it wasn't dangerous over there. It was dangerous. Um, but it was a lot of money was being made. And when that got shut down, people get hooked on that kind of money. They have their boats and their cars and their houses and their lifestyles. And in this case, you have several people with multiple wives, multiple families, and that costs a lot of money. And you get hooked on that kind of money. So where do you go? If you lose the contracts for Afghanistan and Iraq, where do you go? You have a bunch of tents on your hand. You have a bunch of cots. You have a bunch of food services. You have a bunch of blankets, and you go to sheltering migrants, right? Sheltering unaccompanied, taken children. Just my thoughts. I don't know. What do I know? Just my thoughts. And you can try to do it legally by making it uh, a crisis and saying, oh, this is a humane thing to do, and the taxpayers have to pay it, and in order to pay it they have to contract us out. We make a pretty penny. um, and when that, you see it with Doge right now. With Doge, they're so angry when their little pet projects or whatever that they get paid, and we know that only like 6% were even showing up to work. It was out of hand, y'all. Out of hand. The fraud, waste, and abuse, the fraud, waste, and theft is so out of hand. And they start gnashing their teeth when they have to go through um, withdrawal from the contract money, the easy money. And they're going through withdrawal. But with General Kelly, it's a little bit more serious because of his connections in Chihuahua, Mexico, his connections in Juarez, and his connections with El Paso, and his connections with these cases, with our case. It's pretty troubling. And there are common denominators, and those common denominators are that there is a Mormon common denominator. There is 100% unjust veterans disability benefits payout, or I would say benefits, just monthly benefits to and unjustly, yeah, and so many. They need to be vetted. They absolutely need to be vetted, but there's something really wrong there. And then, of course, the cartel ties. The cartel ties. So we know that El Paso Matters has been really the one targeting us and attacking Richard. And that's connected to El Paso Community Foundation, which is connected to Burchett Foundation. They're connected through, you can see it through different public documents. And, they have their Texas or the U.S. offices, but they also have Juarez, Chihuahua offices. And they are also they're also very, very connected. So there is no doubt that the Walmart case and what was going on in Juarez and the trafficking, subsidizing, I would say it's subsidizing some of this big business because it costs so much money to get these businesses operating and keep them operating. Um, that's why I think people got into it too. They caved. Um, but it's illegal. And it's illegal for a reason. It's illegal because it ruins a country. It's not because you don't have freedom. You do have freedom. But there's laws that say criminal trafficking is illegal for a reason. Because it hurts so many people and ruins a country. When I say ruins a country, I mean it's so bad that look what it did. So many people, so many families hurt, killed. So this is really really important for Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia to be connected to Casitas. Hoffmann is a real wowzer, and to be connected to Danae, and and so much tampering, right? So much tampering that you don't even have a prosecutor now. We don't even have a prosecutor in El Paso to address this. And the judges in the criminal law magistrate court, what are they going to do? They're illegal. They're supposed to be elected. They have no authority at all. Everything they touch is botched, is legally botched. And then you have the total distrust from the media there and from even the federal court. Like David Guadarrama, we hold him. We used to hold him in high regard with Kathleen Cardone, right? These two judges, right, in the federal court. They are totally compromised. And please, please, when it all comes out that they're not part of the orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting, and we have it on audio that Patrick Crucius surrendered himself twice. Twice. Why would anyone that gets away like you, I'm surrendering myself. Oh no, we don't want you. Oh, okay. And walks away. Why would he come back and surrender himself again? That is the most absurd. Unless you were autistic and directed to do so and weren't in the right mind to know what was going on, which he wasn't. Yeah. It is going through all of this information it tells you one thing, that our timestamps cannot be trusted. Our open records documents that we receive cannot be trusted. And I'll share them and you'll say, "What? What? Something went wrong here." And that the oversight of any of these stamps, the any of these, you should see you got uh, family members tampering all over the place here. Um, it's just huge. And now bringing in a lead that we got a while back, Falcon. Falcon. Please let me know if you know anything about Falcon, because that lead is coming in. That's a bird. And we know that the Santa Teresa jetport is connected to this case. So that's, yeah, that would make sense. So everyone, thank you for being patient. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on so late. Oh my gosh, it's just so late. Thank you. And, please share. Please share this information. And Casitas, Hoffmann, seems like someone dental is in that building right now, someone that does dentistry. And we know that Leilani Hart was a dentistry. Um, but there's more stuff going on in that building, or used to go on in that building. So we will absolutely let everyone know as more information comes in. Thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow.